Hi, my name is Cairo. I'm here to introduce you to my interpersonal communication project for Human Services Counseling 508 at Liberty University. As I do my project, I will say next when I want you to go to the next slide. Before I begin, I'd like to ask your patience. I've been very ill for the past 2 weeks, and if I cough, I just ask for you to please forgive me. Next. I'd like to give you a brief agenda for my project before we move forward. I want to talk about the meaning of interpersonal communication. I want to give you my overarching goal, a little bit about my personal background, about my behavioral blend, about communication barriers that I personally face, and the resources and strategies that I will use in order to combat those. I want to give you my overall action plan of how I plan to be an effective communicator, and then I will conclude my presentation. Next. Interpersonal communication. Communication is best viewed as the continuous, complex, and collaborative process of verbal and nonverbal meaning making. Interpersonal communication is the kind of quality of contact that happens when the people involved talk and listen in ways that maximize the presence of the personal. This is by John Stewart. The overarching goal that I have in interpersonal communication is to ask for wisdom, to seek wisdom and understanding. In so doing, I want to be quick to hear or listen. I want to listen empathetically, effectively, dialogically, and meaningfully, because listening to me is the most important. I want to be slow to speak, be cognizant of my words and actions, and I want to be slow to anger, practice a little bit of self-control. I want to do all of these as my overarching goal because I firmly believe that we are acquitted by our words and we are condemned by our words. Next. In order to enlarge my conversation, which means thinking outside the box, to try things that are new, I would like to begin by asking questions more than presenting a solution. As a social worker, my job is to listen and then provide a solution. I need to ask more questions and let my clients come to an understanding of what the solution is for them. I also need to learn to react to how the speaker is feeling about what they're saying, rather than just understanding the words or the information that they're communicating. Next. In order to give you a little bit of personal background information, I was born in North Carolina. My father was a beef and tobacco farmer. My mother was the clerk of court. I attended the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I received a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology. Simultaneously, I attended Duke University, where I was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Army Military Police. I married right out of college to a Special Forces officer. We were together for 10 years. We divorced in 1998 because he had a mental breakdown. We had 2 biological daughters. I also claim in my immediate family 2 adopted sons. One is half black, half Hispanic. The other is Colombian. I also have 2 elderly gentlemen that I count in my family, immediate family, and one is a German gentleman and the other is a northerner. We're not what you would call the nuclear family, but we are certainly an all-American family. I've worked in social services or social work for well over 20 years. My concentration has mainly been in the elderly community, which I thoroughly enjoy. About a year ago, I rededicated my life to Christ because I was living a life of moralism. But by some miracle, I was able to break it and hear His voice, let the Holy Spirit sweep in, and I am redeemed. I'm now working towards my graduate degree at Liberty University. I intend to get a Master's of Arts in Human Services Counseling with an addiction and recovery cognate. And I also plan to try to study more about interpersonal communication. I've thoroughly enjoyed this class, and taking the test, I've learned a lot about my faults and strengths. I know that there's a lot more tests that I would like to take because I would like to delve deeper into who I am. Next. A behavioral blend is the combination of traits that form an individual's personality. The challenge of having a blend is that we need to accept who we are and to work on any kind of weaknesses that we possess within the blend. Some people might simply be one trait. Dr. Carbonell gave us the 4-temperament model of human behavior. You can see that it's broken down into 4 quadrants. There's active, passive, task-oriented, and people-oriented. You can read what D, I, S, and C traits are within that personality. Next. You receive 2 graphs when you take the test. This is me, and this is expected of me. This is me is generally the person that you are in your private life. I spoke with Dr. Bowles, and she has agreed with me, she's a member of my family, that the this is me graph is more me in my business life and with my friends. The expected of me graph is more me in my family life. I am an above midline DISC person for this is me. I'm an overachiever. I'm motivated to act in all 4 types. I think in all 4 types, and I can act in all 4 types. I tend to want to be all things to all people. I have a real passion to do everything very well. People tend to want to follow me. They like my leadership style. I do have struggles with pressure and stress. I don't always handle them very well. People tend to want me to relax more because I'm a very tense person, because I'm so involved in all of this changing that I do. You have to be thinking constantly. It tends to make me want to be alone sometimes because I need to get away from all of that and relax. That has come with a lot of maturity. I need to learn to accept doing daily tasks and being on a relational roller coaster with my this is me graph. Next. This is expected of me. I'm an inspiring specialist. My family tends to come to me to be a fixer of problems because I'm very emotional and I care about all of my people and I want everybody to get along. They view me as the perfect people person. In my family, I'm generally shy and I tend to hang back, and therefore I don't impress anyone really. But they do notice that I show genuine concern, both openly and privately with them. When I feel a person's pain, I'm feeling empathically. I actually know what they're going through. I can sense it deep inside. I'm a follower in my family. I don't lead. I can be seen as a humble servant, or I can be seen as a superstar. So there's that dichotomy going on. A real weakness that I feel is that I care about what others think. I need to learn to figure out who I am and stick with who I am and be proud of who I am. Next. The communication barriers that I personally face, I'd like to deal with 4 of them today. One is the inner critic. That's the running commentary that I have inside of me that's negative. It's telling me that I'm a bad person, that what I want I shouldn't have. It is internal, but it can manifest externally if I allow myself to speak it out loud. I shouldn't be doing that. Next. My second communication barrier that I want to work on foremost is fierce conversations. The conversation is the relationship, according to Dr. Scott. She said that it's not so much that we're scared of the conversation that we want to have, but it's the fear of actually being known. And so this is something that we need to set aside our feelings and work towards. My third is external distractions. When I was 30 years old, I was attending Austin Peay State University in clinical psych. I became a test study subject for a group, and they did a lot of testing and discovered that I have attention deficit disorder with impulsivity. Loud noises, mannerisms, outside activity, little things distract me. And a lot of people find me turning and paying my attention to that, even while I'm talking, as opposed to, and while I'm listening, as opposed to giving them my full attention. It's very rude, and I'd like to work on that. My fourth is the I understand phrase. As a social worker, I don't know how many times I've said, I understand. I've watched a lot of other social workers say, I understand. The comment in itself is very presumptuous because you're not in that person's shoes. You don't have all the variables that they have in their life. So therefore, you do not understand. For resources and strategies, I would like to work on challenging my inner critic. I need to transfer negative beliefs from something I believe to something my inner critic is telling me. I need to use aesthetic conversation technique to listen to my inner self and to talk to my inner self so that I can disengage, diffuse, and release negative thought patterns. For fierce conversations, like I said before, the fear is not of the conversation itself, but it's of being known, seen, and changed. I have to give all of that up, and I need to let people know who I am. Third is external distractions. Those are not predictable, so I need to work on practicing mindful listening. Dr. Shafir wrote a book, The Zen of Listening, Mindful Communication in the Age of Distraction. I've ordered it, and I intend to read it fully. And number four, the I understand phrase. It's just one of those things that you have to get rid of. You have to bite your tongue, put your hands out to the person, and listen to them. Because when you say, I understand, you stop their conversation and begin yours. And so the idea here is better listening, empathetic listening. My overall action plan is to study more to become skillful. I also need to partner with somebody that can help point out when I'm not following the plan that I've set for myself. I need to practice daily. It's something that you have to introduce little by little. You can't just become an effective communicator. The next one is to pray. Pray that I can become the person that God would have me to be. Next. In concluding, the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place, by George Bernard Shaw. I picked this phrase because I don't want to not communicate. I want to get it done and be effective. Next. The next two slides are my reference slides. In closing, I would like to say thank you to Dr. Starling for her instruction, her constructive criticism, and her encouragement throughout this course. I also want to thank her for her prayers and understanding about me being sick, and wish you a Merry Christmas. Thank you.